We are all here today to learn a bit more about the Michigan Battle of the Buildings, specifically within Royal Oak. Like I mentioned, this is the virtual info session. There was an in-person one at the library last week that Angela ran, but this one is recorded and it will be up on our YouTube channel. So you can always come back in case you missed anything or have any questions. This will be available online. My name is Kayla Snyder. I'm the Senior Programs Manager with the Michigan Green Building Collaborative, and I am here representing the Michigan Battle of the Buildings. And we have Angela Fox here with us as well, the Sustainability Manager with the City of Royal Oak. One housekeeping note, the chat should be open to everybody, so if you have questions along the way, feel free to put those in there. So like I mentioned, we are here to talk about the Michigan Battle of the Buildings, specifically within Royal Oak. And this is a program of the Michigan Green Building Collaborative, or the U.S. Green Building Council of West Michigan. Our organization is changing our name in the next couple of weeks, more formally. In case anybody hasn't seen that or is unfamiliar, we are changing our name to the Michigan Green Building Collaborative to reflect our statewide presence. And, you can see this pretty clearly with what we're here talking about today. Not only is the Michigan Battle of the Buildings a statewide competition, but we are also partnering with Royal Oak, and that is obviously not on the west side of the state. Okay, so what is the Michigan Battle of the Buildings? It is a statewide, biggest loser styled energy efficiency competition, energy reduction competition. It has been around for 10 years, and it is the only statewide competition like this focused on energy in the country. There are about 272 million total square feet competing, and this covers about 1,500 buildings. And over the 10 years of this competition, we've seen an average of about 15% reduction from our biggest losers. We do see energy percent reductions anywhere from 5% to 30 or 40%, but the average is right around 15. So how do we celebrate everyone in the competition? We have the Michigan Energy Summit, which is an all-day energy efficiency focused conference, typically hosted at the JW Marriott in Grand Rapids. It is an annual conference, and like I said, this is how we celebrate those who participate and award those winners in their respective categories. So you can see the awards that we give out here. There's education sessions available. So because it is an all-day conference, we have breakout sessions. We talk about what's new with financing and incentives, clean energy, and generally energy efficiency and benchmarking. And so there's a lot of education provided at this event. Additionally, you can meet other people who are working on similar projects. So, facility managers and building owners, and a lot of exhibitors who can help you move projects forward as well. So equipment manufacturers, consultants, also those who are representing clean energy technologies. So save the date for this year. It is on May 8th. And again, it is at the JW Marriott in Grand Rapids. And I mentioned the awards are tied to specific categories. So there are about 11 categories here. You can see there's a wide breadth. We get that question a lot of, what building types can participate in this competition. And it's essentially any building that isn't single-family residential. And there's a really tiny note here at the bottom that says if 50% or more of your building falls into one of these category types, then that is your building type. But if it's a little bit more mixed use than that, we do have an other category. So like I said, pretty much any building type will fit as long as it's not single family residential. We do have an optional water category as well that is based on water reduction. So how does the competition work? I've said this a few times. It is based on energy data. So it is the last 2 years of utility bills entered into Energy Star Portfolio Manager. It is a free tool from the EPA. And if you are unfamiliar, that is no problem. It's very easy to use, but part of this collaboration with Royal Oak, we are providing a benefit to buildings in Royal Oak who want to participate, that we will help you get your energy data into Energy Star Portfolio Manager. And with that, we will put in minimally the last 2 years of bills, as long as that is available from the utility, to get you all set up to participate in the competition, essentially next year. So this is something that I want to mention with how our competition flows. So for this year, the data will be due on March 5th, but we understand that, maybe a lot of you who are here haven't done an efficiency project in the last 2 years, and that's totally fine. We'll get you up to speed, we'll get your data in, and we'll work with you throughout the year. Angela's going to talk about some of the other benefits that are provided to you. We'll help you get an efficiency project across the line, and should be all set up to be a strong competitor in next year's competition. But we would still love to see you at the Michigan Energy Summit because, again, there's a lot of great opportunities for education and meeting other people who have been in the competition for a while. I mentioned that the water category is optional. And then we get this question a lot. It's more technical, but what is written on the trophy is your % reduction in weather normalized EUI. So that is year-over-year data. And energy use intensity, or energy utilization index, if you are unfamiliar, is essentially if you have electric in your building and natural gas, you take those two and convert them both to, your CCF or therms to kBTU, your kilowatt hours to kBTUs. You combine that and divide it by square footage. So it is your total energy usage divided by your square footage. And then the weather normalized piece is just like this year, I don't know how the average will shake out, but it is really cold outside right now. Probably using more heat than you were the last few weeks. And weather normalized just accounts for that. Those big changes in weather, and it normalizes that across the buildings you're benchmarking against. The only other thing I'll mention here is that using the EUI metric does normalize it by square footage, so that if a really large church is competing against a tiny church in the house of worship category, that's okay because it is normalized by their square footage. Here are some winter project examples. So we've got a few up here, a hospital, a church, a school, and a restaurant. And they all have done slightly different things. So there are little icons over here where, these slides will be shared with all of you, and you can click on these links. These are all blogs, and this one is a video that you can watch. So Corewell Health in Royal Oak won in the health and hospital category last year with a 16% reduction. And they worked on tying their exhaust fans into their building automation system so that they could turn off those fans and their 4 large rooftop units at night. Lord of Lords Ministries in Detroit also won last year in the House of Worship category with a 39% reduction. They repaired their roof leak. They fixed 12 other leaks. They repaired their roof. They fixed 12 leaks, and they upgraded 3 thermostats. And then they did some behavior changes as well. So unplugging cords and lights before leaving the building. Detroit Public Schools, I'm pretty sure was also last year with a 17% reduction in our education category. They had inconsistent classroom temperatures, which led them to partnering with DTE and GDI services to retro commission their controls, which led to over $40,000 in annual savings. They did go through the retro commissioning program with DTE on other buildings as well. So they kind of bundled a few projects, but this is the building that rose to the top in the education category. And lastly, Sanchez Bistro, this is in Grand Rapids. They had an 11% reduction when they won in the, I think the entertainment category. They completed an audit, and with those recommendations, they replaced their air conditioner, they replaced their lights with LEDs, and changed the thermostat programming. And they came out at an 11% reduction. So you can see there's equipment changes, there's lighting upgrades and behavior changes and, retro commissioning. As long as you're doing something to lower your energy usage, you're going to see that reduction and you have the chance then of rising to the top in your respective category. But that is the key, actually doing the project. So I will turn it over to Angela, but I'm going to check the chat real quick because I feel like, okay, people are just introducing themselves. So, okay, thank you, Allie, for sending or putting those links in there. So I will let Angela take it over from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla. So hi, everyone. I'm Angela Fox. I'm the Sustainability Manager here at the City of Royal Oak. I've been in my position a little over a year now, and this is a really exciting opportunity that I'm so excited kind of came together and we're launching it here in the beginning of 2025. Essentially, how this all came about is we applied for an EAGLE, which is the state of Michigan CEM grant to essentially create a competition like this. And so, we really wanted to use these funds to help our business owners and our building owners, help lower essentially our greenhouse gas emissions here in the city. And what better way to do that than through a little bit of friendly competition? So we were awarded $100,000 and we essentially used that to partner with Michigan Battle of the Buildings and then SBAM, and we've had all these other wonderful partners come along in the process. And we're just making this a way for you all to participate and figure out how your buildings are using energy, and then obviously taking steps to lower your energy and then lower your costs as well. Kayla, is that pretty good for this slide? Should we, yep, move to the next? Awesome, thank you. It's important to mention that in 2022, we conducted a sustainability and climate action plan. We published that. Prior to that, in 2018, we did our first greenhouse gas emissions inventory as a city. Through that process, we were able to identify that one of the biggest opportunities to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions as a city was to work with residents and businesses to lower energy costs, lower transportation. And, essentially we have this commitment here in Royal Oak to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 40% before 2030 and to achieve net zero by 2050. Those are very ambitious goals, and we as a city cannot do it alone. We need the help of residents and businesses and organizations and the like to come together and make that happen. This competition is set up to target some of our biggest emissions as it relates to energy usage and electricity and gas. Slide, please. So here are some of the benefits. Do you want me to go over this or do you want to go over this, Kayla? I can take it? Okay, awesome. So the first thing you're going to get as a participant is access to My GBC. They're going to be our project managers that are going to assist you throughout the entire length of the project. I think that that's really important because it creates a little bit of a buffer between me as the sustainability manager for the city and then you as a participant with your energy data. And so the very first thing that you'll get is that relationship that's going to help you every step of the way. And your data is going to be kept personal to you. And I think that that is something that's really important to mention, is that we may get some data collectively gathered and averaged and estimated that will be sent to us for our benefits, but your personal individual electric and gas data is kept completely confidential between you and My GBC. And so that is, I think, a huge perk to this competition, is that you'll get the support of me as a sustainability manager, you'll get the support of My GBC and the Small Business Association of Michigan, but this is mainly just to help you figure out how your building is using gas and electricity. Benchmarking, as we mentioned before, is the simple act of putting your data into Energy Start Portfolio Manager. and then understanding how you're using that energy over the course of those 2 years. The next thing you're going to get from the Small Business Association of Michigan is a free energy assessment. That is a picture of Brandon there. We've started doing energy assessments here on city buildings. That's actually us in the Historical Society, which was a converted fire station. And so you'll get the same opportunity. Brandon will walk your facility and look at lighting, look at the HVAC system, look at how the building is operating. And those two things are going to come together to essentially give you a customized report. And I think we'll talk a little bit about that on a future slide. But that customized report is going to outline what you can do to take action. Within that, you will also know what your DTE rebates are, what your consumer rebate potentials are, and then we as a city are also going to offer incentives on top of that. And so within that customized report, you should get a pretty good idea of what needs to be done to make your building more sustainable. And then you'll get access to all of these various rebate opportunities, funding sources, and then hopefully sometime either later this year or early next year, we're going to come back together and we're going to celebrate as a community as well. And so definitely keep the statewide competition celebration on your calendars, but we're going to try to figure out what makes the most sense depending on who decides to participate. But we're going to celebrate some of the local wins here also. All right, slide please. All right, here is what you can expect. Step 1 is signing up. The registrations are now open, so you can absolutely go to the website that is in the chat, michiganbattleofthebuildings.org, and sign up your building or business. At that point, somebody from my GBC will contact you to talk about next steps. The first would be to get that utility data from DTE and consumers. They will help you along that process and make that as simple and as painless as possible. And so once we get that data into the Energy Star Portfolio Manager, we then will schedule your assessment. They will come out, do the assessment, as I mentioned in the last slide, and then you get that customized report as step 4. I mentioned with that customized report, you're getting how your building is using energy, ways that you can make it more lean and more efficient, rebate opportunities, city rebate opportunities as well. And then next you get to work. And so hopefully you have a game plan, you have the motivation, and you have the knowledge and the know-how to start working on projects. And we certainly can help you find the various people out in the industry to help you with those things and try to make that process as easy as possible. You've now lost a considerable amount of energy, hopefully, once you've completed your projects. And then the fun part comes to see how we all did and take some time to pause and to celebrate and to figure out what's next. All right, slide, please. Perfect. I'll probably let you take it over from here, Kayla, don't you think?
Yeah.
Just in case I missed anything.
No problem. Yes, so Angela mentioned that, once you sign up, one of us will contact you. It'll likely be me sending you an email to set up a quick one-on-one meeting, just an intro call. And we'll make sure that we can answer any questions that you have about any part of the process, but then we'll start to collect that energy data. So we'll, go through we'll get your consumers and DTE account numbers. If you have any other utilities, we can talk about that in the meeting as well. But then we will get all that set up. We'll sign the forms. We'll get you connected to the DTE data hub and start to upload your energy data into Energy Star Portfolio Manager. Like I said, the data that we are collecting, typically you can ask for about 2 years of energy data from the utilities. So we'll make sure that you have that calendar year data for, what will that be? 2024. And then we'll work with you throughout the year to keep that up to date for 2025, because for the next year's competition, those are the 2 years that we'll work with. You'll likely see some 2023 data in there as well, just given the timing and when you sign up and the 2 years of historical data that we're going to get from the utilities. So with this, think that, Portfolio Manager is a fantastic tool. And within there, you can download your own reports. You can see, graphs and charts about your energy usage. You can utilize it as the tool as much or as little as you want. But beyond that, we will also provide you with a report. So once you benchmark, then we'll connect you to the Small Business Association of Michigan. They provide energy assessments to their members, and also, those like through partnerships like this. So that is the part of SBAM that we are working with, Brandon and Chad, who both work on providing those energy assessments to small businesses. So they'll give us the findings from your building, and we will put that into a report where you will have a nice summary of your energy usage. You'll have a summary of what you participated in, what came from Royal Oak, the energy benchmarking, the energy assessment you got, and, again, what is the Michigan Battle of the Buildings and the fact that you are now in this competition. Some information from Energy Star, and then it'll get into the energy assessment findings. And we'll try our best to link those with photos so that you know what we are referencing in the report, for years to come. But the whole point of this is that, we're helping you along the way too, to kind of move that lighting project forward, or maybe it's a thermostat project. We will help you move that forward. So what else will be in here? Some contractor resources and additional funding resources. So we'll talk about incentives and what is possible, and anything that you might get from the city in terms of rebate matching. Angela, do you want to take this one?
Absolutely. One of the questions I have often been asked so far as I've been pitching this to business owners is what's the catch? And I can say pretty matter-of-factly that there is no catch. Other communities are going the route of requiring businesses of certain sizes to report their energy usage and electric and gas data. I really wanted to go a different route, and I wanted to make it more fun and more collaborative. And again, what better way to do that than friendly competition? So there really is no catch. This is our way as a city to help our building owners and businesses and nonprofits really just reduce their energy consumption, help us as a city reach our GHG reduction goals, and just hopefully help save you some money as well. It's certainly, as it says here on the quote on the right, it's not rocket science. It's simple math, but it can be a little overwhelming. And so I think the hardest part is really to just get started. And I think with this competition, what you're going to get is that support and that help along the way to help you identify what these projects are, and get a little bit of confidence going so that you can take action and do so feeling like you're doing the right thing and spending your money wisely, and tackling those projects that are going to make the biggest impact. And so I think that really is the biggest reason that if I were in your shoes, I would want to participate, is just really all this help and the support. Some free money doesn't hurt either. And so I think that also is a great reason to participate, is we're hoping to try to give away some money. So through that rebate matching or whatever the case may be, we're going to try to help you with some of the funds that we've been able to secure through the CEM grant. All right, next.
Okay. The one thing also mentioned is with the slides being shared, there's a link to see past winner video stories. We do have a page on the Michigan Battle of the Buildings website that has videos instead of written blogs about some of our winners, and you could just hear more from those who have participated, in case you need a little bit more convincing.
All right, do you want me to take this one?
Sure. I can take it real quick. So with the data transparency, Angela did mention this earlier. So this is on our website. We value our competitors' privacy while we do share your energy reduction percentage if you are a winner of the competition and the overall energy reduction of competitors' combined data. We will not share your individual energy data. And that is what Angela was mentioning earlier. With the competition, we share that holistically, but there's also, we might work with Angela to have holistic data as well. This is part of a grant, so that will go in the grant report. But we are not sharing your individual property with the city of Royal Oak or within Energy Star Portfolio Manager, and we're not sharing it with her directly either.
Real quickly, Kayla, if you just want to back up, I do want to say though, if it would be helpful to meet with me at some point in time to share your data and to have somebody help you in addition to what my GBC and Michigan Battle of the Buildings and the Small Business Association of Michigan are offering, just know that that is an option. And so, this is mainly, to add some security and a little bit of peace of mind into the competition, but certainly you have me as a resource as well. And so if it does get to the point where analyzing your data with you in a different way or sitting down with you would be helpful, just know that that is something that I'm absolutely willing to offer.
Okay, that wraps up our formal presentation for this. We are here for questions. I know there's some items in the chat. I think if Allie hasn't done so already, I can put this in the chat or I'll have her do it. The link to the sign up form on our website. But our contact information is also included in these slides. So I will leave this up for just a second in case anybody wants to write that down. While I open the chat, how about that? Oh yeah, thanks, Sherry. Okay, so Jim asks, being that RO is a LEED certified city, I think it's great to see that Royal Oak is also helping with the cost of reducing energy use. Might either of you have any ideas as to how we might get other cities to do that? Angela, I'll let you take that one because this has been a big passion of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is a framework that can easily be brought to other communities, not just in Michigan, but probably all over the country. I can see this being something that a lot of cities are struggling with. And to me, this seems like a great solution that is at least worth trying and seeing if it works in your community. And so I think that that is part of the reason why we were a recipient of this grant, is because we're hoping that we've created and tailor-made this perfect project that can be easily plugged and played across different communities. And, I've kind of let my GBC, I'm still getting used to the new name. I kind of let them envision a little bit and create a little sandbox. And so Sherry was like, the one to really kind of put all the nuts and bolts of the competition together in such a way that we think that it could easily be brought to other communities. And we certainly hope that, we're a little bit of a test project, but that will ultimately spread this far and wide.
Mm-hmm. One other question, do you ever talk about considering indoor air quality when doing energy retrofits? The answer is yes. Angela, has there been any conversations recently with your walkthroughs that you've done?
Not so much as it relates to indoor air quality, but I do think that that's probably something that if I were to ask the right questions, I know that Brandon would be absolutely willing to entertain those types of answers. And so I definitely think that there's ways to build out the indoor air quality piece a little bit more. I think it's a newer topic for people to consider. And I think that's the fun part about this competition, is that there's always ways that we can grow and evolve it. One of the things I've also thought about doing is waste. That's something we could be looking at in the future as well. And so I think that they're all important things to consider. It hasn't come up in our walkthroughs yet, but it certainly doesn't mean that it can't in the future.
Okay, there we go. Yes, and I will say that, that is definitely a question that should be brought up as you're walking through with, I think Brandon's going to be doing most of the walkthroughs with SBAM. So ask those questions, but we tell those stories too from stage and in our blogs for previous winners. So you can see that represented in those past stories as well, if it was relevant to the project that they did at the time. But we have definitely talked about indoor air quality at the Michigan Energy Summit, and we have definitely talked about it within those stories that we tell from those who have done projects. Sherry did mention that we have the Detroit Energy Challenge that we launched in 2020. So there is another city that is doing something similar to this. The Detroit Energy Challenge celebrates those who participate in the Michigan Battle of the Buildings, strictly Detroit properties, and they do their Detroit Energy Challenge breakfast every year where they award the biggest losers from the Detroit buildings. Okay, what financial options will the energy assessment and report provide to participants? So there will be, we'll link you to things like Michigan Saves and utility rebates. Given that this is not an ASHRAE level audit, if any of you are familiar, there won't be a ton of return on investment information. This is a free walkthrough, and so there are some limitations with that. But let's say it's a smaller facility and there's only a handful of lights. We can easily run a calculation based on the hours of operation, the amount of lights that they have, what wattage they're at versus maybe an LED that they could go to. So we can give some sort of information on a project like that, but it will be pretty limited. However, the projects that are uplifted within the report, there will then be resources available to you if you want to move forward with one of those projects. SBAM has been a really good partner with this. They, working with consumers in DTE, they have the trade ally lists. They can connect you to contractors who know the rebates kind of in and out with consumers in DTE to make it a little bit easier as well. And then, upon those quotes that you get on any project you do, you will then have a better understanding of any return on investment you might see.
Absolutely. And I can say from a city perspective, we have a portion of that $100,000 set aside specifically to assist businesses on top of what DTE and consumers are willing to offer for rebates. We're waiting a little bit to determine who's going to sign up and who is, what size buildings they are and what type of buildings that they are, because we want that money to be spread as far and wide as possible. And so part of this will absolutely be, when you get that assessment and you get your customized report, it will outline in there what the city is willing to offer you on top of the DTE and consumer rebates if you follow through with the projects that have been outlined. And then once you complete those, you obviously can apply for your rebates. In some instances, the contractors help you do that. And then, once you've shown that you completed it, then the city will offer you that rebate on top of the additional rebates.
Yes. We had another comment that Detroit has a green task force group that has been in existence for many years. There are committees within that group on waste, solar, etc. And Jim will tell us how to contact them when this is over. Thank you, Jim. Yes, and Sherry says the additional incentive being offered by the city of Royal Oak is a huge benefit and not offered anywhere else. That is true. This is something we have dreamed about for so long. I know Sherry has in particular, that extra incentive to actually push projects across the finish line, because we know that audit, like benchmarking and audits are fantastic. They are how you get started and how you understand where you're at and where you need to go. But actually getting those projects across the finish line is the critical component to this. And we are doing everything we can to help all of you achieve that.
I can't wait to give out some money. Like, I'm so excited.
Well, just trying to give it a little bit in case there's any other questions, but like I said, this is recorded. Let me put the link in here one more time to the specific web page for this where you can sign up. The form is in there. Maybe I'll just take a second actually to show you all that. So this is the link that I just sent to all of you. Here's the website. Here's the benefits that are provided, your eligibility and how to enroll. And then as you scroll down, you get to the Royal Oak program enrollment. It's easy. It's on the website. It's not even, you don't even have to go to a separate form. And then, staying up to date and contacting us. So I did put both of our information in the slides. So reach out with anything you need. And yeah, I guess we'll leave it with one more comment saying we need to get more cities to do the same thing. The fact that Royal Oak just happens to be one of several LEED certified cities in the US might be a help to get others do the same thing. So I know there's another comment about how do we get other cities to do this, and we are so hopeful that with fantastic participation and doing the grant report and just showing the benefits to other communities on how to get buildings to participate in something like this. We will not be stopping at Royal Oak by any means, but we are very excited to launch this. And I thank all of you for joining us this morning. We'll give you some time back. Like I said, stay warm. It's super cold out there. Yeah, Angela, do you have anything else before we hop off?
I just look forward to having you compete. And if I can be of assistance in any way, please reach out, and both Kayla and I are available to assist and help in any way that we can.
Yes. All right, everyone, have a fantastic day. Thank you.